then, guys. So now what we're doing now next is we've just come from doing this one. So that's the last link, which is the whip D, which will that whip D is going to get Richard G. Take a photo of a 4T. Bit of rapid diffy, guys, first thing in the morning. Right then, so what we're going to do here, yeah, is we're going to need a splicing needle for this. So I don't know which one to use now. I've got that many. They've sent me millions. So what we're going to do now is we're going to form a normal hair in the uncoated section I took off. I always like the hair to be uncoated. I like it to be supple. So we just figure 8 loop now. Through we go with the hair. Now I took the coated section off with made me laugh. I watched thing with Jim Shelley over there, and he was saying that you're pretty enough, he stripped it. He got the coated braid in it. That's the way I do it. Unless you're not a man. If you're not a man, use a stripping tool. Fool. So then there's next thing now is, I like Jim Shelley as well, like basically he just comes across as a prick sometimes. What the next thing we're gonna do now, right, is we've got the O-ring on there, which is this section. We've got the little O-ring on there. It's not, you see, you've got that O-ring. So what we're gonna do again now is we're going with the curve shanks again, because as far as I'm concerned, I love them, absolutely love them, and I don't think they can be beat. And I've messaged Dan Oakes over these, and he gets back to you, you know. I mean, they're sharp as anything, honest to God, straight away, no slipping. So then what we're going to do then is we're going to come through, and we're going to come through the O-ring, making sure that we do not get that braid. We do not want to be catching that braid, because if we do, at the minute it's a barb duck, but it will be crunched down when we get down there. Is we're going to come through that O-ring. So we are now at round about that stage. Is that round about that is where I want to be. Actually, round about there is where I want to be looping it. So we're forming it. So with this, I'm going to be fishing it again with a very, very smaller bait on there. So perhaps that is a little bit big, actually. Round about that is actually round about the barrel size I'm going to be fishing it with. So and then from that, now we know the size of it, we take that down and we form a loop in it. We never tighten that loop down until we are 100% certain that it's the size that we want, and it's pretty much. I've found that this is a pretty the best way of doing it is to do it in this fashion. So we formed. So what we do is we bring that knot underneath, and then you see, I form my knotless knots, and these type of rigs, I always form them on the principle of that full loop will go into the bait I don't form it with a little loop in the end, like minute little loop in the end like that, and then a normal section. I don't do that. I just form it as a full section of double coated braid that will be going into the into the bait. It's something I've always done, and it's something I'll always continue to do. And then we bring that. Now we bring that. We're making sure that we've got it perfectly in line at that point. Now that's how we want it. It's opposite the barb. It's opposite the barb on the bottom. It's opposite the barb on the bottom. It's up perfectly opposite the barb. We've got that, and it's perfectly opposite the barb. Right then. So then the next step now is to bring that round, and then we go through the back of the hook, which, if you notice now, it's left as a little coated section there. Don't worry about that, guys. It will get caught up in the whipping, and also not only that, it's going to get shrink tube on it. So even if there's an uncoated section on it later on, don't panic. There's no need to panic about it. It will get took out at some point with shrink tube or whatever. But as you will notice again, it's running perfectly parallel. I bang on about this all the time, but it's really important. Perfectly parallel with the back of the hook. And all we do then is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back through. And we've actually took now that section out. So now we've come back through with that at that point. In fact, I'm going to take that out because I've decided on something else. So what we're going to do, right, we're going to come down 1, 2, 3, 4, right, and then we're going to pull the air back. Oh, we can't do it. We can't do that. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do it the normal standard. We can't do it on this one with it being a rig ring. I forgot about that. So we're back to the opposite the barb. I was going to whip it the KD style there, but I forgot that the rig ring comes back on itself, so it couldn't really be done. It could be, it wouldn't be neat. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then back through. Right. Which a KD rig is a rig I do want for down there, so I'm going to be doing one of them at some point as well. Now this it's mega important to me that it probably don't make a difference really to fish, but it's mega important to me that O-ring sits nicely. It sits like that. Hang on. Yep, you got it there, look. It sits like that. And the way you do that is by, when you form your knot, you go through your knot, and then if you come back through the other side and you come through the other side, you kind of forming like a loop. You're coming through it, and then you take the twist out by doing it again, and it comes through the middle of it. I should have shown you that in more in depth, but I sometimes just take things for granted that you know. But obviously these are aimed at the guys that have been asking me questions about this. Now this is for one bait alone, and that is a bottom bait. It could be fished on a pop-up section. I could strip the bottom section off there, and I could put a pop-up on it, and you quite happily fish with that. You know what I mean? You could easily quite happily fish with that. But the other thing as well is with that, I sometimes think that you'll tend to get tangles in rigs. It's just from my own experiences that you will get tangles through it, and it's, to me, it's all about having a bait that's out there, and it's you're fishing, that rig is fishing effectively, because let's face it, guys, as long as your rig is fishing effectively and you have felt a nice drop on it, real enough after that, you're a time bandit. You just wait. It's time. You're killing time. But there's still craft involved in it, to the point of when I were on Water Meadow, I was trying to keep as much noise away. I even moved the car further back at one point because we were cooking round it, and it was too near to the edge of the bank where I was fishing from. Now I moved the car further back, and the day after or later on that day, because I was fishing probably about 30 yards out. But the point is, that's still close in. You know what I mean? They can hear all this. They can hear all this thumping a lot better than we can hear it as well. You know what I mean? It's what they've through evolution. It's what they've learned over time they're far more acute to vibration and sound than we know, to the point of when a leg goes in, it to them that must sound like either like dinner's here or shit, let's move, you know what I mean? But eventually they will forget about it, honestly. It's like this year, I'm going off subject here, but some of you'll find this interesting. If you don't, then you just fast forward it. But this year I've done a lot of testing with birds. Now, I hooked a mallard, and that mallard had a memory of round about 3 to 4 minutes. It had a memory of 3 to 4 minutes. It actually left the section of lake I was on, it left, and then it eventually left the pond. 3 minutes later, it turned up on far margin and come over and started feeding on the exact same spot again. I hooked the same bird again. 3 to 4 minutes later, it turned back up, it started feeding again, to the point it picked the hook bait up, and I nearly hooked it again. And then guess what? 3 to 4 minutes later, it turned up again, which tells me a mallard duck's got a memory of 3 to 4 minutes. Honestly. Same swans. Elegant birds, but thick as fuck. Bit like blondes. Right. So, sorry about that, blondes. Right, so now we're left with that. Still not happy with that O-ring, guy. It's not sitting perfectly, you know what I mean? But the old principle of the blowbite rig, the old principle of the thinking about the blowbite rig is when it was very first formed was that people were fishing with really long sections of. You see, back in the day when I very first started carp fishing, they weren't shrink tube out or like that. You never even heard of shrink tube. We were that, but obviously because rods were shrink tube wrapped. So some anglers may have been using it, but we weren't. We're not heard of like that. We were using silicone, but most of us were using silicone up to where that O-ring is. We were using silicone, and it. And we lost quite a few fish. I'm not looking at back now on it now. We lost quite a few fish because that silicone were keeping that bait at that there. So it had the bait up against there with a slight gap, but it only had that little bit there of hook to play with. Well, now we've got silicone tubing, and we can just put just over the knotless knot, so it opens it up to that much. It's the reason that more fish are getting caught. It's just all this new stuff that's coming out. It's unbelievable. Right, I'll just have to pause you a sec, guys. I'm gonna have to find a shrink tube. Right then, so we're back again. I don't like the bigger shrink tube as well. It's I don't prefer the bigger shrink tube, but getting tackle shops round here, it's just an absolute joke. We need a shop opening round here desperately, guys. Seriously. They just they're saying that, do we? Because everything's ordered off eBay, but you can never see what you're ordering off eBay, and to the point of that I'm thinking of seriously always wet that as well. It's just really extra security for that, not that's not. So what we're going to do is we're going to come now, and then what we're going to do now is we'll just nip out to steam it. These are looking lovely as well now after the glug. Looking really nice after the glug. Chuffed with them. Look really nice. Hard bits. Yeah, look. Bloodworm. Bit of bloodworm on it, but they've took that glug beautifully. I'm really happy with them, honestly. One of them will definitely be getting piranha. Quite a pen and ink, I'll tell you that now. They're really nice though. So what we're gonna do is, fuck yeah, now they do smell.